What's going on, y'all? I'm here to talk about the buffs and changes I've made to Regieleki for my ROM hack. So keep in mind, all these buffs are balanced for in-game usage, not, it's a ROM hack where every single Pokemon is reimagined. I give all of them really cool abilities that synergize with each other and also synergize with, well, I guess you could say align with their lore and their, flavor and all that cool stuff. So if you're interested in that, when you're done with this video, I recommend you check out the other videos and, check out my Google Sheet link down below in the description. Don't click off this one yet because it'll mess up the watch time real bad. But when you're done with this one, you can check all that out. Most importantly, I would say there's the move guide where I go through every single move in the game because the vast majority of them are reworked in some way. So that's all super important. And they have all these nice little categories for you to check out. So make sure you give that all a read at some point. And yeah, Regieleki. Oh, and then also, sorry, last thing, if you are new here, first of all, I appreciate you clicking on the video. Shout out to you. And then second of all, I would really recommend that you read the description because I have bullet point lists. If you pause the video, it'll give you a lot of background information on how the ROM hack is balanced and why I do things the way I do. So yeah, with all that being said, Regieleki, super cool. I love all the Reggies. Regieleki's low-key my least favorite, I'm not gonna lie, but I still like him. I feel like he feels the lamest to me, but I still like him. I like the others way more. So Transistor is still the nerfed Transistor, where it's only, quote-unquote, only a 30% boost. But obviously, when it's this fast and you can always just slap on a boosting item in an in-game context, you can still one-shot. Here's what I'll say. This thing is definitely broken in an in-game context. I can definitely see it being able to solo some boss fights at some point, like just 1v6 or at least like 1v4, 1v5, like consistently it can consistently get several kills because number one, it's incredibly fast. Number two, it has 3 incredible abilities. And then I would say the biggest thing is just how strong it is. Like 100 offenses seems middling, but then you see the fact that it has Transistor, right? We all know how Regieleki works. And now he has high base power moves. So previously, he'd have to use like fucking Thunder and shit. In a competitive sense, he's broken for different reasons, but in game, you're not going to have a ground type on every boss fight. And even if you do, you can either switch out or use one of your coverage moves, or, if you get a lucky Terra type, you can go for that, or you could run him in Rain with Weather Ball, whatever it is. All types of ways you can get past those ground types, which again are very, it's not a big deal in any game context. Not to mention your coverage might be super effective if they're dual type, like for example, Flash Cannon, Aura Sphere, Dazzling Gleam. I chose not to go super hard on the coverage because I still think it makes sense flavor-wise for Regieleki to not have much coverage until you get to the very end of the game when you get Ancient Force, which balance-wise has no business being on Regieleki, even in this in-game context, because it will definitely let him solo fights a little bit easier, but I just couldn't bring myself not to give it to him because, all the Regis should have Ancient Force to me. Ancient Force is a really cool move. I've given it to all the Ancient Paradoxes as well. But this is probably the most broken Pokemon you could give it to because it gives him, because in this game you're supposed to randomize your Terra type, so you're not guaranteed a Terra type that's strong against whatever Electric resists. But with Ancient Force, you can just slap on Icicle Plate or Meadow Plate or whatever, or, Splash Plate and just go crazy. Although even then, most of the fights you're not going to be using that. You're not going to come across an electric, ground, or whatever type every boss fight. Not by any means. When you do, it'll be useful to have that Ancient Force, but not to mention, again, you can always just switch out. You can U-turn out or just hard switch out. It's not a big deal. Not unless it's a mono ground or mono electric or mono grass team or whatever, it's not a big deal. So regardless, this thing is broken mostly because of the high base power moves that they get access to. So all electric types in the game get access to these high base power moves. So it's not like it's unique. What is unique about Regieleki is just the fact that it outspeeds the entire game effortlessly. It's just even very few AI boss fights will have Pokemon. I would say the highest on most cases will be 135 base at the most. A lot of Pokemon don't go past that. So even if you don't get a plus speed nature Regieleki, you're still outspeeding everything. So it's really crazy. And then you have your 2 other great abilities. So Dazzling is great because in this ROM hack there are a lot of new priority moves. In this case, you've got Shockwave, Spark, Extreme Speed, First Impression, whatever. And so being immune to those is nice because you have the ability to switch between your abilities whenever you want to. So essentially, when you need that priority immunity, if you see a priority move on the boss fight coming up and you don't need a Transistor boost and you don't need the Energy Shield, utility, then you can slap on Dazzling to counter a specific Pokemon. Otherwise, you're using your other 2 abilities. I would say most of the time you're going to be using Energy Shield or Transistor. Energy Shield lets you get on the field a lot quicker and easier. You can also replenish your energy shield with recovery moves like recharge, recover, and parabolic charge. It's really cool utility. You can also use it with like screens or whatever other crap you want to abuse it with. It also lets you set up easier. So another really broken thing that they get late game is Power Glow and Electro Shot. So Power Glow and Electro Shot are both uniquely OP on this guy, but there's no way I don't give it to Regieleki, right? I've given Power Glow to all the Regis because I just think it makes a lot of sense and it's really cool flavor-wise. Um, and I might end up having a soft ban on setup moves, but we'll see as things go on. I also opted not to give them Meteor Beam, even though I totally see it, purely because Electro Shot, at the very least, I can limit to level 100, which means it's only legal for 9 boss fights, but Meteor Beam is legal for like 25 boss fights or more, you know? So it's broken because what it means is you can just kill whatever's in front of you, get a +1 boost, and now you're outspeeding everything, and you have a good enough coverage and strong enough, moves to just blow through everything at that point. The only thing stopping you is Quick Claw. Quick Claw is a single-use consumable, so the AI will typically have one per team, usually in the back, so that'll definitely force you out, but whatever, worst case, you switch the fuck out and switch back in. It's not a big deal, Thankfully, they don't get any flinch moves to cheese the Quick Claw, so that is at least something that will consistently force them out for the most part, unless you have Energy Shield and you have full HP and you're not worried about any utility moves or status moves that Quick Claw Pokemon has, like I don't know, Hypnosis or something. If it's like a 4 attacks Quick Claw Mon or whatever the fuck, like you can kind of just sit on it with Energy Shield because 80, 60, 60 bulk seems very bad on paper, but with investment in Energy Shield, it's incredibly tanky. It can take a lot of hits very nicely, even super effective hits it can live. And again, it can heal those back. Recharge is really cool because it gives you 1/3 HP and then doubles the power of the next turn electric attack. But yeah, back to the topic of the high base power electric moves that I didn't really cover yet. So Electro Assault and Zap Cannon are 140 power Draco Meteor variants, physical and special. Another cool thing here is that physical Regieleki is actually a lot better now because of the fact that physical electric moves don't suck ass anymore. So you have, your good old reliable Electro Assault Zap Cannon. You can even abuse Super Cell Slam with Wide Lens because you're so fast and Wide Lens is buffed. You can actually use that to your advantage. But even just like good old reliable like Wild Charge or later on in the game Volt Tackle, 100 and 120 base power moves there. You can also run buffed Shell Bell, which heals you by 20% of the recoil you take, or 20% of the damage you deal, excuse me, which will heal off the recoil, so that's pretty great. And you've also got like Takedown and Health Thrust for fighting and dark coverage. Aura Sphere, I think, makes perfect logical sense for all the Regis to learn. Flash Cannon as well, same deal. I think like even Dazzlingly makes perfect sense for Regieleki to learn, so I didn't want to go as hard. Like, logically, you can argue stuff like Energy Ball and definitely Eternal Beam fits them as well, but I opted not to give it just because I want to kind of encourage I don't know, I think it is partially soulful for Regieleki to not have many good coverage options up until, again, the end of the game when you get that Ancient Force. Electro Ball is also incredibly powerful. It gives you +1 speed, which, I mean, it's going to mean that after one Electro Ball, Regieleki is getting like 100 plus base power, 120 up to 150 base power Electro Balls. It's very, very, very strong. Again, a bit of a broken Pokemon, even in this type of ROM hack context. Because the way I would define broken is if it could consistently sweep through teams, and this thing probably can. But that's just the nature of having a 200 base. Like, that's just, like, even without Energy Shield and all this other crap, it would still be pretty crazy. But the fact that, I'm not going to not give it the high base power electric moves. It makes perfect sense to learn them. It's like the embodiment of electricity, so it gets pretty much every, strong electric move. Including even the stuff like High Voltage, which is special Electric Wicked Blow, which the downside of which is you can't click it twice in a row, which sounds like a big deal for like Pokemon that rely on Scarf to outspeed things, but in this case, you're so fast it doesn't matter. You can just fucking click it. You can also use like Zap Cannon into High Voltage. Boom, that's 2 kills right there. I mean, ideally, assuming that it's a neutral target or whatever. So definitely really crazy. They also don't have any multi-hit moves to blast through Focus Sash, so that's another thing that'll stop them, which is nice. However, you can always get up like a hazard with one of your allies if one of your teammates can learn it on a Teamlocked. You can always get that off. Oh, they have Tri Attack. I lied. They do have Tri Attack. So if you got Terra Normal, then Stab Tri Attack can blast through some Focus Sash Pokemon. Although you need like a boosting item, probably like a Specs or a Life Orb to one shot for other Pokemon with that, because it's a strong move. It's 105 power. It hits 3 times. It's 35 power each hit, but yeah, that's definitely something you can use to cheese Focus Sash. But other than that, they don't have any other way of doing it consistently, so that's good at least. So Focus Sash and Quick Claw will stop them. Otherwise, this thing can, get tons and tons of strong kills and lots of cool utility as well. Energy Shield, Strange Impulse, drops special attack by 2, Ancient Power, drops attack and special attack by -1. You got really cool utility moves that you can take advantage of like that. I think that's really fun. So you can debuff something or weaken something into range and then volt switch or U-turn out. Or even you can even abuse a slow teleport. Teleport is minus priority now. I mean, it's already been. Sorry, I got mixed up with the baton pass, but teleport is minus priority, as you guys know. So that's good as well. Another, I would say one of my favorite utility options on Regieleki is that Plasma Pulse. Plasma Pulse goes fucking hard on this guy because he's so fast, and you're also dealing good damage because even though it's only 60 base power, it's still a stab move. If you use it with Transistor, it's still boosted by Transistor. But even if you're using with Energy Shield, it's so good because you can switch in and just burn things for free. It's like better. I mean, it's so good having that consistent fast burn. Super. It's almost like a prankster burn move at that point, because you're just so fucking quick. So I think that's really cool. Plasma Pulse is a very, very fun utility move to abuse on this guy, for sure. Short Circuit is really strong. It removes your electric typing and it's 130 power, and it always paralyzes. The paralyze effect is not a factor for the player, really, ever, I would say, especially on a Pokemon like this. If it's on a bulkier Pokemon, sure, like a slower electric type, because you can, Short Circuit, live the hit, and then kill them the next turn when you outspeed, but you're already outspeeding everything with Regieleki, so it's not a big deal. Ideally, if you're clicking Short Circuit, it's just a one-shot something. However, the benefit of Short Circuit is that it doesn't drop your special attack like Zap Cannon does, so you can use like Short Circuit into a coverage move on the next turn. Say, for example, the next Pokemon that comes in is weak to one of your coverage moves, so that's always fun. Even stuff like Lunge and U-turn is good for like grass types, or acrobatics. You can definitely actually use those now because of your attack. Being, I mean, it's still base 100 only, but you've got actual electric physical stab. So yeah, that's basically it, man. Power Go, Electro Shot are very, very broken endgame moves on this guy. Electro Shot, I mean, Power Go is great, but it's honestly kind of overkill. Obviously, it's crazy, right? I mean, it gives you +3 special attack. You click it, you outspeed the entire game. You can Parabolic Charge the health back. You can Energy Shield, or you can Dazzling to be immune to priority, which is one of the other counterplay that AI has against this guy. Priority, Focus Sash, Quick Claw. One of those three is nullified with Dazzling. So now you've got +3. You kill everything in the game with +3. I mean, it doesn't matter anymore. So definitely, and you even then +3 Shockwave or Vacuum Wave can, or whatever, can even cheese Quick Claw at that point because priority outspeeds Quick Claw. So you can even, go for a Shockwave after with +3. So definitely very crazy. But Electro Shot is even crazier because you don't even have to take a hit. You switch it in or you pivot in, whatever. You click Electro Shot, you one-shot whatever's in front of you, and you're, GG. Like you're +1. It's crazy. It's very, 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 very strong. But that's just the nature of some legendaries are just going to be like that no matter what I do. I mean, there's no universe I don't give Regieleki Electro Shot and all these other, electric moves. Like flavor-wise, it should have them, so I'm not going to take that away from them. It's a legendary, so it's okay by me. If it's OP for the fucking Elite Four, is what it is. Not to mention the game is kind of balanced around using whatever you want and doing several playthroughs. So, if one of your playthroughs is nullified a little bit because you lost a Pokemon and then added a Regieleki in the end game, if you a lot of the adding Pokemon is also based on like RNG, like you're supposed to randomize the Pokemon in your box to pick the Pokemon a lot of the time. That's not intended, but it's like a cool little thing that a lot of people do here because it just kind of lets you use cool things you wouldn't otherwise pick. So point being, it is what it is. It's a bit broken, but that's just kind of the nature of Regieleki. So I do appreciate you listening if you made it all the way to the end. Thunder Cage also is pretty much, I mean, I wouldn't say it's the best thing in the world on this guy, but it is nice because in that it's a stronger Thunderbolt. I would say most of the time, say these guys are all legal level 45, right? Thunder Cage is a very strong stab up until then. It's your strongest stab because Thunder requires a wide lens to use. Although I will say this guy goes crazy in rain with Weather Ball and Thunder and even Electro Shot. Oh my god, that's very, very fun. But yeah, I don't know. Thunder Cage is cool. Stronger Thunderbolt. It also does a little bit of chip damage. You could use it with like a bulkier set, like Recover, Thunder Cage, whatever, but I don't know. I feel like you're kind of losing the plot with that because Energy Shield is good utility-wise, but like you kind of would have to force using it purely defensively. It's more of a utility like switching in easier or living a hit you wouldn't otherwise be able to hit, or live, or getting off an attack you wouldn't otherwise be able to get off. That's really the use for Energy Shield, not like literally stalling things. Although you could do it, like you totally could Parabolic Charge, Energy Shield, stall things. It's just, it seems kind of counterintuitive with the Pokemon with this type of stat spread and moves and stuff. So yeah, I appreciate it if you make it to the end, guys. Really, it does mean a lot. And I'll be back for more coming up. Peace, y'all.